Welcome to season 2
of the Coco Lesa podcast.
It's real hip hop music from the soul, y'all.
From the soul. It always start with loving, don't it? That we always end up fighting, but we could fall off long as we get back to riding, homie. You the only one I see.
What's going on, family? So we don't really number or like call out, but I think we're in episode like 24, 25 now.
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah, so boom, welcome, family, welcome back. Thank you for being here.
Okay. And our girls are here as always.
So I want to start off with a thank you, tremendous thank you, because even though we mentioned them last time, bro, Soleil, listen, the keto. Say it for me. I always say it wrong. No disrespect. My bad.
The Keto Island Boys?
Keto Island Boys. So much sincere love. Like, an interaction. Really appreciate it. So thankful to have them. If you haven't checked them out, please go check out their podcast. It's solid. It's very informative. They have us really thinking about the way we eat and what we eat and when we eat, which is rough because I love breakfast.
And they came out with the thing that apparently breakfast isn't the most important meal of the day.
Or you can have breakfast, just don't have it at breakfast time, right? So we're going to be doing a mashup, a collaboration with them soon, which will be very informative. Also, call outs for this week. If you haven't got a chance yet, please, guys, go to the Twitter, sign up for our email list, or you can find us at the hohcollective.com. Search for us on Google. There's so much good information that we're putting out on the email list on a regular basis. Please get all signed up. Check out the website. Yeah, doing a lot of things, and we're working on a lot of things for us, for the community.
So it'd be dope if you guys check it out.
The Facebook page, you can find links to everything on there as well. If you're not on Twitter, but yeah, we appreciate all the love.
And thank you to everyone who has already signed up.
We really do appreciate it so much. So yeah, this is going to be a good one. This is going to be an interesting one.
Which is so funny that I always say it every episode, like, how have we not covered this? Like,
right? But the other thing that's really funny about it is, technically, we're always talking about family. Yeah. Because
family is is a central ideal to Pacifica culture.
Right, but also, all of these experiences come from the family, or shared in and with the family, right? And it's so funny because we kind of touched on this when we talked about Famous Money in season 1, right? But
today's episode is more on
just
not famous money, it's your money.
Your money, right? Exactly. And the other way that we're going to talk about that and address that is, I think we're talking about monetary. Mm-hmm. We're talking about economics. That's what we're going to do. We're going to talk about brown economics, okay? Paper money and all the different currencies. So, why don't you lead us off by talking about like what sparked this as a conversation?
Listen, this has always been something very like controversial to me. Not controversial, but it's always ebbed at me. Like it's always like been.
It's a dig.
It just really frustrates me so much. This is a part of a lot of Pacifica life, and it's money. It's like what sparked this conversation for today was I was on Twitter and there was
a very heavily typical poly opinion that was expressed.
Yeah, and I think it was something like if you can buy materialistic things for your partner, but you can't give money to your parents when they ask or help pay bills, then you're shit.
And you're
which isn't a bad, like, that's not like...
It opened up a can of worms, though, because there were a lot of people that spoke from the heart and testified about how they have been taken advantage of. Very
financially and mentally abused.
For money.
By their own parents.
By their families, by their parents. And really, I'm telling you, like, racketeering, bullying, shaking down. And like she said, a lot of the abuse that comes with it. Yeah. And so we both have a lot of personal experience with this. Like, just from people we know, just the community. Yeah. It's a part of life for us.
So what someone responded to that tweet was, they're like, this is a very poly thing to say. Like, when I was growing up and I got my first job.
She talked about her experiences, and to kind of summarize it, not only when she got her first job, her parents were taking
almost all of her paycheck.
let's say a good 80 to 90% of her paycheck. When she moved out and moved into another place, she ended up having to leave because her parents were taking so much of her money, even though she didn't live at home anymore.
Pay her rent.
She couldn't afford to pay her rent or food or all of these other things. And this is the experience that a lot of us have. So there's a program and an initiative right now in education in Aotearoa where if you sign up for school and it's the first time you've ever signed up for school, actually they give money for ages. Like you get like a free $1,000 for going to school or taking course, right? There are so many young students that I've had that have been so intelligent or promising where they really could have made something of school. And their family just sent them for the $1,000, and then after they got the payout, they were forced to leave school and get a job so that they could bring more value in to their family. And this is a conversation you and I had very early on. And the reason that we had it, so you and I started this conversation in the beginning of our marriage. And you had a very passionate stance on it, right?
Uh-huh.
And we talked about the monetization of children in brown families and how a lot of brown children don't get to have, I was of the point, a lot of brown children don't get to have childhoods or educations or going to higher education because they're forced to start working very early on. And you were like, but they need to help and support the family because the bills and everybody's just making it and things are so hard. But one thing that we talked about in the last episode about faith was how much money goes into the church and the tithing, right? And I'm not taking shots at the church, but
as a child, how are you supposed to respond to that? You
can't.
Exactly.
That's why it's abuse. But I'm not knocking that down, but I'm saying you were acting like it was out of need and necessity.
It is.
But where does the need and necessity come from? Time and time again, with our own eyes, we have watched the gross mismanagement of funds by parents and family heads. So the necessity is not to survive. The necessity is to support lifestyle. That's my issue. Hey, come at me, G. We gotta roll. Let me know.
Listen, in certain situations, that's true. Mm-hmm. But I grew up with a single mother with 5 sisters. So, and we lived in Australia.
Right.
So you can understand.
Right. So you speak from a real place.
Pace of like poverty, not like poverty like those. So like we need our rent was, we were behind on rent nearly every week.
Listen, we know about that life. We've been there. We grew past that, so I get that. I understand that is a real conversation, right? But we're talking about not just money. We're talking about economics. In brown families, children are economics. And the conversation that we had, the conversation that we had is parents are like, oh, I sacrificed and I worked so hard, and I did all of this to have you and for you to be born. This eternal gratefulness that you're supposed to have for all the sacrifices that were made for you, right? But, I was talking to my sister, my twin, recently about this, and I was talking about them, right? Mm-hmm. And I said, I don't care what you've had to do as a parent, what sacrifices you've had to make or what you've had to go through, your kids don't owe you shit for existing.
Exactly. That's your motherfucking job.
I have done things to make sure that my children would be born. Okay? I have ruined lives. Anyway, and my children don't owe me anything because of that. If you couldn't afford to take care of and be there, if you weren't willing to support your kids through their exploration and growth of their sexuality or their mental illnesses, you should have never had kids. Fuck you. Your kids don't owe you anything for existing. And I'm not saying we shouldn't honor and take care of and love our elders, but to treat children like they're ungrateful.
We're commodities.
We are commodities.
Where this is what in Samoan culture, I'll speak from my own experience, is that when your parents have you as a child so that you can grow up
and take care of them.
And the cycle is
you were a fucking investment. They were an investment and you're an investment. So it's not like they did this of the love of their heart. They did it to secure their future.
But what I'm trying to move away from is that what I want is me as a parent have my kids so that they can go on and have lives, fulfilling lives, have their kids, and it's just I don't want this cycle of poverty and debt.
And this is why you and I bumped heads on this in the beginning, because I said, listen.
But I understand the necessity
and I understand
for why teenagers and families work.
Right, and I understand it
families
too.
And livelihoods.
But so I've grown up, and as a man, and even growing into my adulthood, taking care of my mothers, taking care of my siblings. If I had, everybody had, because that's the way it should be. But the difference is, my mothers do for me. My mothers do for us. Opposed to the other way around. And there's no expectation on that. If they need help, boom, then we're there. But it's not like we're expected to fund their lifestyle.
Exactly. This is not what this is. We're not like saying, you need to neglect your parents.
No, not at all. And that's what I take issue with. So, one, it's the acknowledgement that we are raised and given birth as commodities, and then we're guilted our entire lives into feeling like sacrifices were made for our existence. So out of gratefulness,
to be fair, as a first generation, like my mom was born in Samoa, I was born in New Zealand. As
she made moves so that you could have a better life than she had.
She did, and those kind of sacrifices is what is kind of in the back of her mind when
and in the back of your mind, and I understand that, and there's nothing wrong with loving and caring for and providing and taking care of your parents. There's nothing wrong with appreciating your parents and your elders, and that's the way it should be. And if you have the ability to do for them and do for you, one of my homeboys doesn't have a house because he bought his parents a house.
Yeah.
And so he lives in his apartment, takes care of his kids, and pays for his parents' home. And they don't have to worry about rent or mortgage because he loves his parents and did that out of love. And that's okay. But if your parents are on a plane every other fucking month, okay, but there's still no money for food and all of this other shit, and they're at the club and they're at the casino and they're doing all of this other shit, and so they need you to come out of your pocket, then there's an issue. You are not a piece of shit for trying to live and exist and not being able to afford funding your parents' lifestyle. Being born and having to be raised doesn't mean that you are a fucking check cashing place for the rest of your life.
One thing I wanted to talk about was fa'alawi is so that's...
Please speak on it. Speak on it, God.
It's so for those who don't understand, fa'alawi is like a Samoan word for... Well, I guess a problem, not really a problem, but when there's a funeral, we call it a fa'alawi. And normally you give money to the family.
So what happens is the family gets together, they all decide on a value that's reasonable for everybody to give, and then that gets broken up into sections of who can give what. And during these times, to help each other of crisis, we all devote all that we have and can to giving, right?
Yeah, but
to ease the burden.
But the thing is, a lot of Pacifica families in New Zealand, I'm not sure about anywhere else in the world, they're getting into debt just to be able to pay for these fa'alawi
because
and not even the parents' debt. It's the parents asking the children to take out loans in their name so that they can, and it's just really.
And the parents will pay you back, but the paying back don't happen because they're your parents and they shouldn't have to pay you back because they sacrificed to have you and give you the life that you have and are the but anyway, but stepping away from that. So here's the thing, right? We pretend that we still do these because of the original reason, to relieve burden and to help and to share and to make a difference. And partially, maybe, right? Mm-hmm. But that's not the core or the main reason of why these things happen. They are a status symbol of look how much I did, look how much I gave, and look how much I was able to do. And all of the money doesn't even go to the central place, and the gifts don't even go to the central place of where they were needed or for the reason they were needed. They're divided and broke down and spread out throughout the family or the household. So, funerals is cha-ching, dog. Funerals is cha-ching. Weddings is cha-ching. Medical bills is because people get paid out.
Yeah, but
as a child, listen, as a child...
But as the person who's had a funeral, like as the person who's like, say my mother died, that help is much needed. That help is very...
It is.
But I don't expect you to come out of pocket to provide this help.
Well,
Give
no,
what you can, not what you...
And it's greatly appreciated. But here's my example, right? When the Red Cross comes in, and this is from my brother-in-law, or our brother-in-law, Kevin, because he's a manager for the Hyatt, right? Which is one of the main hotels. And when the Red Cross came to town to help with relief after there was a tornado or a hurricane in New York, it was gross mismanagement of funds. And what he saw made him not want to donate to the Red Cross anymore. Because it's not that they don't do good. They do good, but it's where does all the extra money go? So they rented out an entire floor of hotel rooms just in case for relief workers and used about 3 of the rooms the entire time they were there. And this was hundreds of dollars in rooms. Like...
Yeah.
Even, I'm telling you, I never ever like to slander Tonga or show poor light on Tongan. I don't. Shut up. Anyway, but...
Oh, but Samoa, it's free reign on them, huh?
Anyway, she's such a hater. But, I mean, at a Tongan wedding, right? Mm-hmm. All of these gifts were given. All of this money was invested. And there was a whole extra day added just so one family wouldn't look like they did less than another family, right? And then on top of the extra day, right, the family that was helping put together all the gift baskets and this shit, when nobody was watching, all of the extra gift baskets were ending up in the car of the people who were putting shit together. And this is what I'm talking about when I say mismanaging the funds. So do these things come from a place of beauty? Are they helpful? Are they important? Yes, but there's a lot of shit that gets bled off and taken advantage of by all parties involved during the process of these things. So your mother told you, and this is not you, I'm saying in general, here's a scenario. So your mother tells you, we need to give $2,000, right? But you don't speak to anybody about how much your family agreed to give. So what you're actually giving is $1,500, and then your mother got an extra $500, right? But then of the $1,500 that was given, right? Let's say 1,000 of that was spent on the burial from everybody, and then there's an extra $500 that went in somebody else's pocket. And that's, am I wrong?
Listen.
That you know that's how the process works.
I don't know. I've never been corrupted like this. I haven't.
Oh, we playing make believe now, y'all. We are pretending like we don't know. Okay, and so, like I said, it's when you start to dip into the rough parts of it. So I'll give you.
Listen, when we started this episode, this isn't really what I had imagined we would get into. Was like the whole fucking corruption of...
Alright, so sorry, we'll take it somewhere different. I'm sorry, everybody. Let's get back on track.
No, but this is still good. Like,
where did you want to take this when we started talking about this?
No, this is still good.
But I want to hit that point too. Let's go. We're bringing it back in, everybody. Where did you
just went off on that one. You're like,
where did you originally want? Because I want to show and I want to highlight. Like, people,
I know, I understand.
For me, this is about protecting people from shame. Because there is so much emotional abuse that we need to stop. and slander
Facts.
and shame of treating people like they're bad people and like they don't understand culture and like there's no value in them as individuals and they don't do good things if they're not willing to give up everything or 75% or 85% to something every 2 weeks. Like they don't have to pay rent.
Yeah, I remember when I was pregnant, like with my first child, and my mom asked for $300 for something. I can't remember what it's for. And at the time, it was just me working because
my visa,
your visa hadn't come in yet. And I was like, I'll see what I can do, but I don't think I can do $300. And then, I don't know, she was like, blah, blah, blah. But one of the things she always says is like, like you're not white, you're not this is Samoan culture, like this is...
You should know better.
You know, we live here in New Zealand, but you're not white, you're not a Palangi, it's different, you should understand.
So if you don't want to... Like, and so it's so funny because I'm not going to name names, but one of my homies that I love, right? She is one of the chief defenders of this and explained why it's so neat and so important in Samoan culture. And it's so funny because she growls me. We're going to talk about slang too, but she gives me a hard time whenever I speak on things like this because she's like, you're a Samoan. Stop talking about this in front of the white people. So it's
yes, we can listen.
No, but we can talk about it amongst ourselves.
Amongst ourselves, we can. Outside
but not to the Palangi.
We just highlight.
And but this happens to all of Pacifica. It happens in Maori households too. I've seen it, right? But anyway, but even she told me a story where there was like a funeral and somebody needed to be transported and everybody had responsibilities, but because she wasn't married and it was like 10 G's, her brothers were like, so you got this, right?
Jesus.
Like, just assuming that because she was unmarried, like, you know, we all got to band together to take care of this, but I got kids, so, you know, this is on you, right? And she is one of the chief defenders of the culture. And so we can get abused by our pride.
Yeah, well, it's really rough.
It is. It is.
That's what they play on, is that you understand why it needs to happen and you know, but like...
This is who we are. Like I said, that's why I kind of went into attack mode, and it wasn't even meant to be that. But it was because I've watched it get played off as we love and we share and we give and we care, and it's who we are as a people, right? So I teach freight and logistics. And one of my students, after I taught my students how to ship, how to do pricing, how to get containers and come up with the price of all of this.
Oh, yeah.
And when they figured out how we charge, he was like, oh, his mind was blown, right? And so I said, what's going on? And no, he asked me a question. So we did the math on what it cost to get a container from New Zealand
to
Samoa. And it was only like 2 G's, right? His minister, the head of his congregation, paid the 2 G's to get the container to Samoa. But he didn't tell the congregation how much it cost. And he charged his own congregation $500 a box.
Listen,
to get one box into the container that he paid $2,000 for, G.
Listen, he a businessman. Okay?
Nah, this is what we're
like
talking
taking
about.
advantage of your people,
right?
But what I also wanted to talk about was like, our people's need for like generational
wealth and building.
Yeah.
That was the reason that we had these conversations in the beginning, because we were talking about investing in us, something that's very important, guys. And I don't care if you're talking about a business, if you're talking about a job, if you're talking about a hobby, a talent, it is very important to invest in yourself, right? So we say, if you are a singer and you want to be an artist, spend the money on a new microphone. Don't spend the money on Jordans. But this is the same thing, right? We don't teach our families or our children or our people to save money. Part of the reason we don't is because we always have money that needs to go to things.
Listen,
there was a funeral in Samoa. Somebody died and they need to get buried. So we got to pay for the ticket. and we got to pay. I can't save any money this payday. But when that happens every fortnight or every 2 weeks, how are you supposed to save when there's always something? How are you supposed to save to build a future when you don't even live at home and you have to give your parents money?
And you know what's also rough about the part where, like, parents ask you to put, like, debt in your name, like, they want you to take out loans in your name, is that you're setting them up to fail later in life. Like, if you don't pay this back on time, like, you're not helping your child pay.
It destroys you as an adult.
Your credit is... So when you go to buy a house...
Or you go to try to go to uni, and now you can't get a student loan.
It's just, you're not setting up your kids
and
to be able to live their lives. Like, to be able to build a family from
So you want me to buy you a house, you want to live with me. You want me to buy you a house, or you want to live with me, but now I can't afford to do that because all I'm qualified to do is work. All I'm qualified to do is work a construction or delivery job because I couldn't go to uni because I had
still
money.
Paying back the shit that you said you're going to help me pay back 5 years ago. Not that this is any personal, you know, like.
And you still talk shit about what a shit kid I am because I didn't give you money last week.
Yeah, it's really wrong. Like, it's a very delicate line you have to balance.
It is, because
being a Samoan, being a Tongan, being like Fijian,
being Maori, being Pacific
in Western society.
Yeah, like, it is. Even my sister. So my sister used to have her own place, right? Times changed. She moved in with my mom. So not only does she pay my mom rent, she got my mom's car from her. So then she pays my mom weekly for the car, which is not a brand new car, so it's probably paid off ages ago. But she gives my mom, and she doesn't complain about it. But it also is driving her fucking broke to always have to have money to pay off these things that are technically.
And not even that, like, so you like pay rent. So you say you
pay rent, help with food, pay for the car, like.
And then listen, my sisters growing up, like, they always paid for shit for us. Like, when we needed to go to camp, we would go to our mom, but she would be like, okay, go to Katrina, go to your other sister to help this. I'm like, well, what the hell are you paying for? They're like,
one time I hit my mom up. I was in Oregon. I was super broke. I didn't know when I was going to have money to get groceries. I asked my mom to borrow $60. She said, okay. And then my sister sent me $60. Like, whether she had it or not, because my mother said yes, it came out of her pocket. I don't know if she went without groceries that week, so I could have groceries that week. But it's what's expected.
Yeah. I mean, we're not telling you to drive your parents broke.
We're not, but we are talking about this in such detail because the point of this is changing things. And if we don't, the reason it's a hard line and a hard balance is because how do we maintain our culture and the things that matter to us, but still grow and progress and not destroy ourselves and our homes and our families in the process? We could have way more. In school, it's hard enough because in school, all they drive us into is sport and music anyway. But how do we get more doctors? How do we get more lawyers? How do we get more judges? How do we get more of these things if we can't afford to send each other to school because the culture?
It just frustrates me when like you're not setting your kids up well. You're not giving them a financial education that they need to be able to live proper adult lives.
Right, and that's the point. Like, there's a point where people stop thinking about their kids. We thought about our kids and getting them born and making sure they went to school and got strong so that they could earn money, right? But now we're not thinking about their future. We're thinking about how well they can take care of us and how well they do take care of us. You know how many times I've watched people I love be embarrassed like they weren't adults in front of their elders or seniors just so that their parents could show off how much control they had over their children?
Yeah. This is what I want for our people. I want us, this is what I want for us. I want us to have investment property, but not even that for our people. I want just our people to have a property.
That's a different conversation for us because assets, we already actively work on.
Just have something to your name, assets.
We won't take from the kids. We are laying the foundation now to make sure that they have the strongest future and landing board possible. And I'm still going to work them so that they know to appreciate it. But anyway,
yeah, I just want more for us in terms of, like, I don't want us to repeat this cycle of dependency.
Please take your tongue out of my daughter's mouth, Kia.
Okay. They were disgusting.
They are.
Yeah.
So, in this, again, just something that we always try and say in preface, this isn't an attack on anyone or your family.
And some people out there, some of our Pacific people have dope families where their parents don't ask much from them. Their parents support them in their endeavors. You know what I mean? Like, so this isn't, if that's you, then this... completely ignore this whole thing.
And we're super grateful. Well, no, not even ignore. Understand the experience that others are going through. You know? So this isn't to slander or take away from anybody, and it's not to shame anyone. It's just really us trying to do what we always do and discuss things that are realities for a lot of us and that we want to change moving forward. We can still be us and be who we are and love ourselves and love our cultures and take care of each other without going broke, okay, and taking advantage of and exploiting each other to do it.
But I think this is a really dope conversation. So if you out there have... Because I saw, like, some people's tweets on this, on the TL, but...
It's controversy. The other reason I have this conversation is as a business owner, right? Because as a business owner, it is so important for us to support Pacifica, Poly, Maori, Brown, and Black businesses. And something that we do to each other that we never do to white people is we always ask for discounts. We always ask for free. We always ask for cheaper. Okay?
I'll pay you later.
And we try and shame each other when it doesn't happen, like businesses aren't supposed to grow and survive. But when it comes to Palangi and white people, we don't do that because we don't want them to think that we're poor or think less of us. Or, you know? So why don't we have the same pride when trying to build up our own people? And two, we don't invest in each other because we don't have faith in our own businesses, like, oh, we're going to get cheated.
You know what I was watching? Killer Mike? What's his name? Killer Mike?
Killer Mike, yeah.
He has that show on Netflix. So I watched his first episode and it was about him living black. And by living black, I mean he only bought from black owners, from black businesses. So it was really hard for him to be... So his food that he was eating, he could only eat black food from black businesses. Like his
only shopping and spending with his own people and investing in his community.
Because he wants to keep money in the black community for as long as possible. And he said that Asians, like...
I talk about this in the book. Every community does this except for black and brown
Asians can keep their money in their community, like, for 30 days before they spend it in someone else, in like a Jewish store or something.
Because they own stores, they own restaurants, they own schools.
Do you know how long black people keep money in their communities? Not even like 7 hours. Like that was just so astounding to me. And I just wondered what the stats were for Pacifica, what the stats were for our people. And I'm like, it's not even gonna be minutes. Like,
we don't own no casinos.
I know, like, it's just so. I think that's something that we should.
Well, this is
goals to
we already work on doing that, you know, and contributing to that, even more than just by talking about this, but by building. We've already done that. I'm telling you again, as a business owner, but everybody who's created art or worked with, we only spend money with people of color. More. We could be shopping on We Buy Black.
Yeah, Shoto's hair products are bought from black companies, but Veronica Pomay owns that
the skincare. She got the new skincare one. I'm down for supporting. Yeah, for sure. We'll give her some.
So you guys, like, if that's skincare is your thing, you guys can go look at Veronica Pomay.
Yes, please. She has worked so hard to put out her new skincare line, her facial scrub, her soap. We follow her on Twitter. You can follow her on IG. Please hit her up. She's so accessible to find out about her new products. Invest in us, invest in our community. She's doing big things for us, guys.
And don't think just because, you know, she's in that industry or other people are, like, doing well in that industry that you can't start your own thing. There's room, like, what do they call this bread for? There's something for like there's a pie.
There's enough for everybody to eat.
Yeah.
Like consumerism is not going away. People aren't going to stop spending. It doesn't hurt us to grow our culture.
The more of us there are,
the better. The better. And that's part of what this is too. Like it's so much. This is not just us speaking on problems. It's us looking for answers and solutions to grow and combat and get rid of these things.
And maybe that's something we can do an episode on. Just like, or maybe not even an episode, just a tweet.
Okay, are we finished before we start brainstorming in this?
Sorry.
Okay.
I'm sorry.
It's okay, I'll cut that out. So, I don't know. I know this is going to be a controversial episode, but I hope it was a good topic for everybody. We hope you guys enjoyed it. And we will definitely be talking to you. So we might do this special, release this early. Hey, yeah.
Do on Friday.
Yeah. All right. So we're going to release this early. Surprise. Surprise. No. But we're still going to do our normal episode this Saturday/Sunday. So we'll talk to you guys soon. Love you, family. Thank you so much for all the love and support.
What you miss?
Good episode, people.
Thank you much.
You're bun.
What?
Wow, you were so hot.